I've never felt that there has been a political party that kind of aligns with my views. Traditionally, through university, I was quite left-wing, very left-wing. I was very into climate change, very into kind of liberal policies. And then slowly through, I guess, the rise of Donald Trump and then and also through COVID and seeing how the mainstream media kind of changes things and manipulates stuff, I sort of started to awaken.
The problem we are in a place now where if you're too patriotic, it also seems like you're too right-wing, which I think's wrong. I don't think you should be passionate about your country, and I don't think I'm sure, because I'm Scotlander, and I know the Irish are, and I think it's nice. Even if you're moving into a different country and they're upset because of something you're doing, I still think you should respect it, because I think it's nice that your country has those values, just like if you move to a different house. You know, if they want you to take your shoes off when you move, you shouldn't, I don't want to take them off. Do you know what I mean? You should respect, okay, but in my house I'll maybe keep them on, but you shouldn't bring it to someone else's house if it makes sense.
My, not expertise, but my knowledge is of education and of law and order. I'm saying education because the last 8 years of when I was in the police force, I actually worked within schools, both delivering crime prevention drug awareness packages, but also working on the other side, working juvenile liaison panels with housing associations, local councils. So even though that's 13, 14 years out of date, so to think, there was nothing crept in about identity and gender awareness for 4, 5, 6-year-olds. So I can't even comprehend how that has come into the equation.
Is it not just, to my knowledge, that kind of education of younger children is just some people have 2 dads?
Some people what, sorry?
Have 2 dads. Like, I don't really. Do you object to children knowing about that?
When you put it like that, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But to my understanding, that's what the perceived criticism. That's what the criticism is. That's all that's being taught in schools.
I'd have to see it to believe it. But I don't have a problem with a pride flag. An adult, gay rights is absolutely a legitimate concern, and we have made fantastic strides to even when I'm 62 years of age, so that was long overdue. But how has the line been crossed where that is umbrelling a lot of other issues that seem to be just an ideology now? That's my concern. Where does it stop? Why does this have to be shown in schools? Why do the police have to have a bus or a transit van with the Pride sign on and offering people to stand next to the Pride side? Would they do that for a Reform UK? Would they do that for a Labour Party? Would they do that for extremist parties? Hopefully not. So why are they doing it for an ideology? We have big problems.
Why did you join the Reform Party?
I've been running on the last 2 elections as an independent candidate for Lichfield. I just felt that I needed a bit more support, and I was lacking the joining a party, and I think Reform is the party now that I feel comfortable with joining.
So did you stand in the last election?
I did.
For Reform?
As an independent.
Right. How did you get on?
On this one I got 98 votes. Majority vote went to Labour of 800 against Conservative. The party Reform got about 8,000 votes. That swayed me to think, well, I need to join a party.
So for me, the main thing is immigration. I see it as a massive issue to the country. Just in rent rises, for example, now, I think Nigel put some stats out, but even if we were to build houses all the time, we still wouldn't, clear the backlog. So we've got a lot of people coming to the country. Pre-Tony Blair, it was about, between 20 and 50,000 people coming, which is totally fine. If we need these people for specific jobs, then that's fantastic. Let's fill that. But now we've had net migration, up to, 745,000, I think it was, when you take away people who've emigrated. And then it was close to 1 million. So there's too many people coming to the country and the services can't take it.
What were your policies that you were proposing when you stood in Lichfield?
Right, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, mainly it's about retirement age, that the retirement age should be reduced to 65 again, and that the nationalisation of water, gas and electric should be a key point.
Educational reform, I think it's fundamental. When I went to uni, I didn't go to uni to get radicalised. Yeah, I didn't go to uni to start thinking I was a man. Yeah, when I'm a woman, I didn't go to uni for that. I went to uni to be educated and learn my trade. That's what I went to university for, not to be radicalised. And now young kids are being radicalised. I've seen so many, like, it's such sad stories. Young lads, yeah, you see them, they're quite like, very often they're quite skinny, young lads. You're obviously not finding their place, and they turn into women. And the same for women wanting to turn into boys. There is no worse radical body image problem than telling kids, giving them drugs to tell them, yeah, that you are in the wrong body. It's a mental health issue, and that I fundamentally stand by that. And I do multiple talks about it, and it's quite upsetting and it's very sad. You know, when I was younger, I was a tomboy. I liked loads of boys' sports, played with action men, I did all this stuff. Theoretically, based on the studies, I would be a transgender kid. I'm not a transgender kid. I was just a tomboy who liked masculine stuff, and I still like masculine stuff today. That's why I'm in engineering. You know, you see that divide and that change in what women want to do and what men want to do, purely because it's hard graft doing what I do. I work with wastewater, I work with sewage, I work with dirty, smelly shit, and women don't want to do that job. Sorry, but they don't. So, and I work better with men, but it doesn't mean I'm a man. It means I'm a woman with masculine features. And the educational reform seriously needs to happen in this country. Secondly, another reason for educational reform, hating our history. Yeah, Britain brought so many positive things to the world. There have been multiple countries that have done colonisation. The Arabian world, look at, for example, the Ottoman Empire, yeah, which we defeated. The Crusades were a direct response to the Arab invasion and the Arab threat. Yeah, they came into Spain, they took over Spain, and we pushed them back. It's not, you know, what makes me laugh is, you know, there's people that, you know, like Palestine and go for Palestine. They talk about England colonising. The Arabs are the worst colonisers ever. They used to cut the balls off slaves, off black slaves, so they couldn't reproduce. That's what the Arabs did. We didn't do that. We abolished slavery. We were the first country in the world to abolish slavery, and the working class paid through their nose for that. The working class in England did not benefit from slavery. They were working, making ships, doing all sorts, yeah. They were making and manufacturing, weaving, making all the products, right, that Britain made. The higher upper echelons benefited from it, and we only paid off that debt. It was in 2006 or 2007. We only just paid that debt off when we abolished slavery several centuries before. Okay, we're the first country to abolish slavery. We've brought all of these amazing sports to all of these countries in the Commonwealth and across the world. You know, America even takes up football. We brought the suit. Yeah, we brought democracy. We invented 51% of the inventions, yeah, that you use in modern day society. And everyone's talking about what is British culture.
Having been a Conservative all my life, but I joined UKIP, and then when Nigel, obviously, that kind of dissolved, I decided to go to Reform. I've studied their policies. I think it's the future. I'll tell you what does worry me a bit. They're trying to dispose of GB News, which is very important. And when you go into the conference, GB News is the only news channel that's actually there. You know, because the BBC is so left-wing biased, it is unbelievable. And the quicker the BBC have their licence fee withdrawn, the better. Because I just feel that they never portray the news as it should be.
You're unique in the people we've spoken to, and you've not mentioned immigration. Everyone else we've spoken to has mentioned immigration. Is that something you're especially concerned about?
Immigration is an issue with the country, but it's not for me to say. Yeah, I'd leave it to Reform to answer that.
What would you like to see Farage do to make sure you win the next general election?
Well, I think he's doing the right thing now. So scaling the party, I mean, he's taking a lot of heat in the press for not spending enough time in his constituency, which I think is slightly unfair, because his big job as the leader now is to scale the party so we're ready to take on the next local elections in May next year, and of course the Welsh elections after that. So his big thing is to scale the party, make it a more serious party in terms of national appeal. I think he's rightly focused on that, and I think what we've then got to do, once that's underway and that becomes unstoppable, and I think he's probably getting to the point now of getting some real momentum, I think then we've got to start filling in some of the gaps. Yeah? So for example, if we are going to really push down on immigration, then fair enough, I think a lot of people would agree on that. But birth rates in the UK are dropping. So what are we going to do instead? Are we going to be happy with a country that shrinks in size? And if so, what are the economic implications of that? If we're not happy with that, what are we going to do to encourage families to have more kids? And so we've got to start wrestling with some of that, because once we start to get into the next general election, which is 4 or 5 years time, we're going to get challenged on that, and we've got to get answers.